Hey everyone, and welcome. We're doing another deep dive today.
That's right. And this time we're digging into a source called The Ballad of Hugh Glass.
Our mission really is to take this incredible story, this account, and just unpack the survival tale inside. It's almost unbelievable.
It really is.
Okay, so let's jump in. The ballad starts with this really intense scene. Picture this. You're totally alone, way out in the wilderness, and then a 600-pound grizzly bear just crashes out of the trees. Boom!
Instant nightmare fuel.
Right. The whole forest just turns terrifying. And somehow the man involved lived through it, lived to tell the tale.
And that's the mystery, isn't it? How do you survive that?
Exactly. So the man we're talking about is Hugh Glass.
Yeah, the source paints him as a real frontiersman, a trapper, explorer, early 1800s.
And apparently not new to danger. He'd faced bad weather, starvation, conflict.
We knew the risks, yeah. Sort of lived on that edge.
So the story puts us in the summer of 1823. Glass is with a fur trading group pushing into really wild territory, untouched, dangerous land.
Well, it's now South Dakota, near the Grand River area, a long way from anywhere.
And he's scouting ahead, alone.
And that's when he runs into her, a mother grizzly with 2 cubs.
Oh boy, the absolute worst case scenario for an encounter like that.
Pretty much. And the ballad says the moment she sees him, she roars and just charges.
Like a force of nature, it describes her speed.
Like thunder, moving like thunder. Glass. He manages to get his rifle up, fires a shot. But the source says it just made her angrier.
Oh, man. The last thing you want.
Exactly. And then, bam, she's on him in a blink, it says.
And this part of the account is just brutal.
It is. Claws like knives slashing his back, his face, teeth tearing flesh, biting deep into his leg.
Throws him around.
Like a rag doll. That's the phrase used.
Yeah.
Just sheer, terrifying power.
But he fights back.
He does.
Desperately.
With his hunting knife. Stabbing, twisting, screaming, apparently. Just this primal struggle.
Until
the bear finally collapses.
Yeah.
Dies right there beside him.
Incredible. But Glass himself.
He's barely alive.
Yeah.
The ballad describes him as nearly dead by the end of it.
Which leads to when the rest of the expedition finds him.
Yeah, and the state he's in is, almost unimaginable. Body broken, scalp nearly off, leg shattered, ribs crushed.
Just horrific injuries. A miracle he's even conscious, really.
Absolutely. And the group looks at him, and their assessment is pretty bleak.
They think he's done for. No way he survives this.
Right. The wilderness got him, basically. So they make a tough call.
They decide to leave 2 men behind.
Yeah, they pay 2 guys. Their job is to stay with him, wait for him to pass, give him a burial, and then catch up.
A grim task, definitely.
But they don't follow through. This is where the story takes another crazy turn.
What happens?
After just a few days, the 2 men, they panic. They get scared.
Don't tell me.
They leave him, abandoned.
Yeah.
Alive. The ballad is very clear on this. They put him in a shallow grave, basically.
Right.
Take his rifle, leave him with no food, no weapons, nothing.
Just left for dead, but not actually dead.
Exactly. Looks like absolutely zero hope. Seems impossible he can survive that.
Given his condition, it's betrayal on a whole other level.
It is. But this is where the legend of Hugh Glass truly ignites. Because against, all odds, every reason to just die there.
He refused.
He refused to die.
Wow.
And that refusal kicks off maybe one of the most astonishing survival journeys ever recorded.
So what did he do?
For 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He crawled.
Crawled. I mean, literally crawled.
Literally crawled.
On his hands and knees, dragging that shattered leg.
For 6 weeks. How far?
Over 200 miles.
200 miles. Crawling.
Through rugged, unforgiving wilderness. Injured like that, alone, abandoned. Just think about the willpower.
It's staggering. I can't even imagine. How did he even survive day to day?
Well, the ballad lists some stark details. Eating roots, insects.
Whatever he could find.
Pretty much scavenging raw meat from carcasses he stumbled upon. He had to be his own doctor, too.
Right. You mentioned the injuries. Setting his own broken leg somehow. Wrapping his infected wounds with moss, he found.
Just improvising with nature itself.
Exactly. Drinking from rivers, sleeping in mud for warmth or cover, hiding from wolves, more bears. It was a constant, relentless fight.
A fight driven by something powerful, I assume.
The ballad points to one thing above all. Revenge.
Revenge against the men who left him.
That seems to be the fuel. Maybe the only thing strong enough to push a man through that kind of hell for 200 miles.
And when a story gets this extreme, this beyond normal human limits, it's bound to attract myths, right? Legends start to form.
Oh, absolutely. It almost demands explanation beyond the ordinary, and the ballad touches on this.
How so?
It mentions different ways people tried to make sense of it. Some said, spirits of the land must have guided him, given him strength.
Okay, like a supernatural element.
Yeah. Others wondered if maybe the bear's spirit, its soul, had somehow cursed him, made him unkillable, almost immortal in his resilience.
Interesting idea, like the source of his trauma became the source of his strength.
Sort of. And there's also mention of Native American perspectives where the grizzly isn't just death, but also rebirth, which feels fitting somehow.
Yeah, it really does. Wow.
And then there's this really specific kind of ghostly tale in the ballad.
Go on.
About Glass supposedly meeting a mysterious group, a tribe maybe, who tended his wounds, helped him, but then just vanished by sunrise.
Whoa. Were they real or something else? Hallucinations? Spirits again?
The ballad leaves it open, really. It all feeds into that big, haunting question the source poses. How does a man survive the impossible? Unless maybe fate itself steps in. Unless he had to survive.
It gives you chills thinking about it. So, okay, he makes this impossible journey fueled by vengeance. Does he find them, the men who abandoned him?
He does. After everything, he finally catches up to him. The moment he must have dreamed about or had nightmares about for weeks.
Does he get his revenge?
Well, this is maybe the most unexpected twist. He confronts them, yes. But according to the ballad, he forgives them.
Forgives them? Seriously? After all that?
The source offers a few thoughts. Some interpretations say it was true mercy, an incredible act of grace, I guess.
Hard to believe, but maybe. What else?
Others suggest maybe he was just spent, utterly exhausted by the ordeal, physically and mentally. Maybe the fire for violence had just burned out.
That seems plausible, too. The sheer effort of surviving might have overshadowed the need for revenge.
And the ballad gives one more angle, which I find really powerful. Maybe he realized he'd already won the most important fight.
The fight for his own life.
Exactly. Against the bear, against the wilderness, against infection, starvation, against being abandoned, just standing there, alive, in front of them. Maybe that was victory enough. The ultimate revenge, in a way.
That's a deep thought. His survival was the statement.
Mm-hmm. And that story, the Hugh Glass story, it still resonates today. It's part of the lore of the American West.
Echoes through those landscapes he crossed. A story of incredible pain, fury, and just survival beyond what seems possible.
It really pushes you to think about human limits.
Right.
What we're capable of when pushed to the absolute edge.
And then the ballad leaves us, and you listening, with this final thought, this challenge almost, when the wilderness comes for you. Metaphorically or literally, when you face that impossible thing.
Will you run? Or will you rise?
A powerful question to end on.
Indeed. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive.